All right, everyone, welcome back. We're here in Waco, Texas. I believe this is the 8th version of the Waco annual charity event here on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Here at the press conference here on Wednesday, we've got Philip Delone. Phil, can you explain to the people at home what exactly your job description is with the Disc Golf Pro Tour?
Yeah, so I'm the assistant tour director of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. I help handle all the logistics. I do a lot of the planning meetings with the LOCs, which is the local organizing committees. There's a few of us that kind of plan those meetings. We're, event leads. So I am planning the meetings as well as leading them, and then I'm on the ground. So on the ground for all operations, and in charge of the operations staff, and all the scheduling. So from a week to week, kind of rolling with the wife and the cat and the RV and going to each stop along the way and working closely with all the local organizing committees and just making sure things go as smoothly as we can if there's no weather or any other hiccups in the way.
So Phil, what is it about the Waco course or the LOC that the tour keeps coming back for? I mean, this has been one of the staples on the tour now.
Yeah, so I think it's the spectators, it's the fans. We sell out of this entire venue. This year we've upgraded to Lake Waco out of the Beast course. But the Beast, I think, has its many, it's iconic for its own right. It's more of a park course. It kind of slows down some momentum. It has a complement now as a golf course with a more, longer fairways and tighter OB. However, the woods, I think, are something that we're losing in disc golf, hit or miss. So you're going to see these woods starting on hole 4 as an entirely different style of golf as what we're used to on tour. They're not very long. They're all about placements and mostly deuce or die par 3s. And then I think opening up into the field that we're sitting in now, that allows us some of the new style of disc golf. So mixing both, but mostly just coming back to Waco. We have a good tournament staff, Ryan Draper and team with Prodigy and Legit Disc Golf. We've all had a good relationship with them, so it kind of helps us be comfortable and kind of roll into it. Whether it's the first event of the year, second after now Olympus and chess.com. So it's good, but I'm excited to show and showcase the new course of Lake Waco and allow more spectators because we've kind of outgrown the Beast here. So allowing more people to come. We did one change this year. It's going to be a big significant change. Hole 15 is no longer along the fence. That's the fence hole. So that's going to be vending. It's going to be a little bit safer for people coming down 18. Spectators are going to be allowed to move a little bit more freely throughout the tournament central area. So, and then Championship Sunday at the lake. So we'll see how that pans out.
Yeah, can you talk about the thought process behind turning this into an Elite Plus event and adding an entire new venue to the tournament?
Yeah, so last year, Ryan Draper had a good partnership going with the golf course, Lake Waco, and he kind of presented it to myself and Jeff Spring to expand. It's one thing that we don't love to do is to limit our spectating. So as this event has grown for many years, it's something to look forward to in the future. So can we stay in Waco? We're capped, and we were capped at kind of 1,500 people, just because the property doesn't allow us to grow too much. So expanding it to 2 courses kind of gave us an avenue to make it an Elite Plus event. So now a little bit more added cash, 4 rounds with a cut. It's going to be the top 40% of men and top 50% of women. And then just allowing us to have more breathing room. So we have it. We're excited to see how it pans out for this season. And it should be good. So.
Well, there's a lot of discussion, Phil, amongst the players about the elevated tee pad situation over at the Lake Waco course. Can you expand on that a little bit for us?
Yeah, so it is a temporary golf course, and it's the first year in the relationship as we move forward into having an event there at Lake Waco. So I think we need to lay a foundation with the ownership, show them what disc golf is all about, and really get them to open their eyes and allow us, to come dig into their land a little bit and actually have a more of a permanent style course. So it's not necessarily something ideal, However, we've had courses like Glendevere and Stockton for OTB Open and the Portland Open that when we're working with golf courses, we're really trying to show them and kind of tug at their strings, have them, and really just be able to provide them a show. So hopefully this weekend they realize that there is a long partnership and there's value in us being here, and they start allowing us to chip away at their dirt and make our paths a little bit smoother and not too much of a run up and stuff. But when we can get that green light, we hope to ASAP. So right now there are 6 by 12 foot pads. Questionable, more than enough run up for some of the shots, but some of the players that do have need the long run up, or actually that's part of their game, they'll have to adapt a little bit this weekend on those tee pads.
Cool. Yeah. So and essentially the hands are kind of tied until that relationship is solidified over there. Thanks for expanding on that for us. And my next question is, how does the tour or the local club decide to not finish here at the Beast? I know that these finishing holes are two of the best in the game, 17 and then 18 over the pond, but the champion will be crowned over at Lake Waco. How is that decision made?
So yeah, it's something I actually talked about earlier today with Ryan Draper. The suspense of 17 and 18 here at the Beast is something that I think everyone looks forward to, and it's great, but we decided it for many factors, and part of that being spectators, just allowing more people to actually come and witness those final moments. So, yeah, Saturday will be the last time we see this for round 3 before the cut, and hopefully there's some excitement as we go down the stretch. Maybe those 17 and 18 really focusing on that storyline and watching that cut line for the 40% of MPO and the 50% of MPO. Who's going to lose it on 17 and 18 and maybe not be able to play on Sunday. So, but interesting to see how the new holes are going to shape out. It's going to be hard to go up against the normal 17 and 18 here at the Beast.
Phil, Brian Earhart here. Just got one question for you. You're a big disc golfer yourself. Have you gotten to see any of the holes at Lake Waco, and maybe just during your time walking the course, do any iconic shots stick out to you at all?
I don't. I've definitely walked it. I want to say I'm just excited to see the finish. Mm-hmm. And as we just talked about the finish here and it being iconic, how can you live up to that? And is it going to be electric? Mm-hmm. So hopefully the scores are tight. You can score out here if the wind is blowing out there. It's going to be some holes are going to be challenging. But yeah, I don't know that the biggest hole's standing out to me right now. So.
Looks like 17 might be the one that the players are all kind of excited about, but should be an exciting weekend. Phil, thank you so much. We'll see you out there.
Thanks, Brian.
We'll be right back in just a few.
All right, we're here with Jeremy the Koling. We just established that your new name, middle name, is the.
Yeah.
Or the.
Yeah, correct.
Can you expand on that and how that makes you feel?
I've always thought that the as a middle name is the best middle name you could possibly have. Future kids will have the as their middle name. So, yeah, we just determined that LeBron James is actually French for the Bron James.
LeBron James.
LeBron James, yes.
So are we going to have to put Big Germ at the end of the name, or is
Yeah.
it going to be Jeremy the Big Germ?
It's up to you guys.
Koling?
I mean, I can't pick my name. You guys picked it. You know, Big Germ was given to me by my roommates and my friends in freshman year in college. I did pick Lionheart when I was a kid, and now I'm circling back to that. It's the one thing I've been able to choose in my life.
So Big Germ actually preceded disc golf.
Yeah, preceded disc golf. Yeah, the guys next to me, diagonally and across from me, were sophomores. They're all friends, and every time they saw me throughout college, when I was a freshman, they were all sophomores. What up, Big Germ? What up, Big Perm? Whatever rhymed with that. Every time they saw me, I'm talking like in class, at the gym, getting food, bumping into them in the dorm every single time. And I grew up as a kid named Jeremy. All the Jeremys in the world can relate. People just call you Jeremy. And then, like, you don't like that. It's got the negative connotation to it. So accepting Germ as a nickname, I don't even know how we're here in this interview right now, but accepting Germ as a nickname, you know, it was a growth in my life. And now we're here.
And Big Germ, what is it like now being one of the most recognizable personalities in the sport of disc golf? I mean, do you ever just take a step back and, you know, does it ever humble you that you,
All the time.
you know, you're getting recognized like at gas stations and airports? Like, what's that life like to be Big Germ?
That's a lot to unpack, Nate. Great question. It's crazy. I went to the Northeast Disc Golf Expo in Boxborough, a few months ago. It was a great event. I actually had a little Q&A, and one of the questions was, what's the one thing that you're most proud of in your career? And I wasn't expecting to get emotional from that question, but probably the first time that I like really stopped myself and like reflected on the fact that I am a veteran on my way out of the pro tour eventually. You know, like I'm 38 years old, and I've done a lot of things in disc golf and for disc golf, and my entire adult life has been disc golf. And now I'm at the place in my career where I can look back and say, wow, like this has taken me across the world and has started so many amazing friendships, and it's connected and impacted so many people, and it's a really special thing to be able to reflect on that stuff. And yeah, and then when that question was asked at the expo, it was like this like full circle moment where I was like, wow, like I can actually think about all these things and consider what thing I'm most proud of. In the end, my answer was sharing the story about me working on my dental stuff, because that impacted so many people in different ways, and that was really the thing that I think was most impactful to the people around me. So, but you know, you think about winning here and winning at other Elite Series events, and the wins are cool, but it's really the friendships and honestly, the lifelong friendships are the thing that's the most important thing.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. Thanks for sharing. And you just said something in that answer that I want you to expand on a little bit more. You said you're on your way out of the Pro Tour. How do you make the decision to continue showing up for these Elite Series events? Like, how do you determine whether or not you want to focus more on the media side of things and with Jomez and the Disc Golf Network, or whether you still want to try and compete at the top level and win another Elite Series or win another major?
That's a multifaceted answer. Part of the answer is those guys that are on the course right now practicing, they just keep getting younger and younger and better and better. So they're kind of forcing me out in some ways. I mean, I'm still holding my own. My rating really hasn't changed in 12 to 15 years, but what 10-20 golf gets you over the course of 3 to 4 rounds on tour is different than what it used to be 5-6 years ago. And so, you know, part of it is the competition. It's hard to keep up. I've got to work twice as hard just to stay in the same spot. And the other thing is I'm so enticed. I love doing the media stuff. I love doing commentary. I love being a host, just a personality in the sport. And I love being an ambassador and growing the sport outside of the course. So for me, it's really, I get to enjoy that more when I focus more on it. But also I'm getting older, dude. My body's breaking down. Like I got a sore shoulder right now. And, I've got to like limit my practice this week going into an event that I feel really comfortable at. It's just, there's a lot of different things that play into that. And, you have to be truthful with yourself. Like you want to be competitive. And when you're not competitive, you got to start thinking like, all right, man, I'm eligible to play Masters next year. Maybe I might be playing some Masters next year, so I'm still going to be around, they can't kick me away yet. And as long as I continue to cash most of the time, like I got the commentary and I'm playing well, I'm enjoying life, dude.
Cool.
Hey, Jerem, Swiss here.
Hey, Swiss.
You've taken down this event in the past. Just how far has Waco come and the community come in disc golf since your last win here? And
good question. Aside from the construction finally being done out here in Waco, like the area looks pretty much the same. I mean, it's the same people have been involved with the club since I started coming here in 2017. The Beast, the only thing that's really changed here at the Beast, besides adding the new hole 16, is that they've changed the par on the holes. The rough is still rough. The placement shots are still in the same spot, and I still really enjoy the course. Adding the new Laco, or whatever you want to call it, obviously that's a big change. And obviously that's the trend that the Disc Golf Pro Tour is going towards, with longer, more open courses, spectators and better cameras and whatnot. It's hard to get all the gallery down these tight fairways out here. I understand that. But aside from that, really the biggest change since I've been coming here for 7-8 years is the addition to the golf course. I mean, this place has been pretty consistent. The love for disc golf has always been felt out here.
great. Speaking of Laco, I guess, is what we're going with. Backhand or forehand on 17?
I think it's going to have to be a forehand. I think it's going to have to be a forehand. The backhand is safe too, but the green, like an equal number of backhands and sidearms landed on that OB green. So it's a good question. It's a game time decision based on the wind.
Germ, Brian Earhart here. Question
Brian.
for you. We got a special thing coming out. A show that's been asked about for a long time is coming back this year on Jomez. Can you talk to us about it?
I'd love to, man. You guys have asked, we've listened, and to be honest, we were wanting the return of putting games just as bad as you guys were, but we, I guess, are officially announcing it here. Next offseason, you can be looking forward to some new episodes of the Jomez Pro putting game. And Brian, you've been integral in really putting a ton of work in and getting that established and really being the producer of it, getting the sponsors that really were the big thing that we were missing in the sustainability of the show. But yeah, we've got a new format coming. We got some new things some new bells and whistles that we're adding, but like still keeping the fundamental roots of putting still the same. But it's going to be a really fun show. I think we've got some really great suggestions.
How much joy does it bring you to have avenues to be creative yourself in the disc golf world outside of the competition?
It's so weird. I remember when we first started filming those, I was just having this like existential moment where I was like, I chose to be a professional disc golfer, and now there's a camera facing me with lights, and I am a game show host? Like, how on earth did this turn occur? Like, where did this come from? But it's so cool. I mean, like, it's a role that I have struggled with as far as, like, it's awkward. How do you make it not awkward? I didn't go to school or train to be this guy, and then over time you just kind of figured out. And also, the power of editing is magic. We can really edit out some of those really awkward moments that just seem to occur every once in a while. But, I mean, I love it, dude. And I know you do too.
Passion takes you a long way, Germ. Thank you so much for your time. We'll see you out there this week. Good luck.
Thanks.
We'll be back in just a
All right, Nate Perkins here. I'd like to welcome Kyle Klein to the Waco press conference. Kyle, how are we doing today, man?
We're good. We're tired. Got an early round in this morning, but we're good. Getting some good practice.
So what was the week off for you like from chess.com to here? Are you driving this year? How are you and Cynthia taking on the tour this year?
Yeah, so we are upgraded to an RV, so we got something a little bigger. We're towing a car, which is nice, so we got a little get around town car. But yeah, pretty much took off from Brooksville the Monday after, and then hung out in Pensacola with some friends for a couple of days, and then we've been around here since Friday, I think, Friday or Saturday, so we've been around. Yeah.
Now, what's the thought process behind, you've been in a van for the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. What's the process behind like leaving the van and choosing to go with the RV and towing a car?
We were just looking for something a little bigger, especially with 2 people and a dog as well. We were just looking for something a little more spacious. Sometimes got a little cramped, but yeah, it was just something we planned all throughout last year, so we finally got that done.
Is there an adjustment period towing a vehicle? I mean, are you behind the wheel on that one, learning as you go?
Yeah, there's not, honestly, it's not all that bad. I feel pretty comfortable driving that, and of course, you just got to be careful. Know your length, know your height, and that's it.
Well, Kyle, you feel like the road is a comfortable place for you now? I mean, is this looking at your 4th year full time?
I mean, I started at the restart in 2020, so it's half a year, and then 21, 2, 3, going into my going into my 4.5.
Yeah,
It's been a long time. Time kind of flies.
I feel like just a couple years ago, it was when you were up there playing for the win, when you took down Idlewild, it was kind of a surprise, and now it's not a surprise whatsoever when you're near the top. Do you feel like you have higher expectations of yourself? Like when you return to a tournament that you won last year, do you feel like you should win this tournament and that you are one of the top contenders here?
Yeah, for sure. I first felt that going back to Idlewild in 2022, where I felt I've done this before and I know that I belong and I can be right back up there. So I'm feeling the same way here, knowing especially this is one of my top 10 courses here at least. The golf course is another story, but this course specifically is one of my favorites. So I'm feeling good going into the week.
What do you feel like you learned about your game at chess.com? We saw you a little bit in that final round. What did you learn? What rust do you still have to knock off?
Just getting the round started quick. Like all 3 rounds pretty much I started kind of slow but picked it up in the back 9, so I think it's just more about getting into the groove of the round sooner rather than later, because in that final round I was looking to make a push, and I only started that push on hole 13 or whatever. I've rattled like 5 of the last 7 birdies or whatever, and I needed to get it going sooner.
Well, jumping back to this tournament here, Kyle, you said this is one of your top 10 favorite courses here at the Beast. What are your thoughts on the Pro Tour adding another course and making this an Elite Plus and making it a 4-round tournament?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what went behind the change from Elite to Elite Plus. I really enjoy the 3 rounds here. Just it makes it, I guess, short and sweet, but it's just a nice little reprieve from what we go through all year. It's a lot of long courses, and it's pretty fun to be here.
Hey Kyle, after winning this event last year from Chase Card, how do you feel the back half of Waco sets the stage for heroics this year?
I'm not sure how to answer that exactly. I've only got, I think, like 2 rounds on there, but if it's windy or there's any weather at all involved, it can get dicey. It's gonna create a lot of drama coming down the stretch there, especially 17. I know it's like a picturesque hole. Everyone's posting about that one, but with any wind, that one's gonna play real tough. So that could be 2 or 3 strokes on that hole alone.
And I know you're a big fan of this course. How do you feel about the adjustments they had to make here with the spectators and everything along those lines?
I like them. I think taking the old hole 15 out was nice. Getting something else in there, a hole that's, I'm not going to say actually birdieable, but more birdieable than that one was.
Hey Kyle, Brian Earhart here. A couple questions for you. Are there any shots at Lake Waco that stick out to you? Any tee shots that are maybe particularly fun to throw? I know you're still feeling through this course for the first time this week.
Yeah, I think a lot of the par threes I really like out there. Hole 17, like I said, is fun. And then I think it's hole 10. There's a hole 11. There's like a little short, like low ceiling.
11.
downhill shot. Yeah, 11. I like that one a lot. Just like out of the ordinary golf course woods holes, or that you wouldn't consider that would be on a golf course, are like my favorite out there. Things that you're playing around the golf fairways, not so much down them.
So Texas is pretty known for having a lot of pecan trees or oaks or trees that don't grow very tall. I've heard some of the talk around the Lake Waco course is, yes, there are some beautiful low ceilings created by these trees, but there are some gaps up through the trees that you can go over the top on. Are you finding any routes like that?
Personally, no. I say I've lost distance over the last 3 or 4 years, so I don't know if it's true. Maybe it's just me getting old. But
How old are you?
I don't 22, almost 22.
That's old.
But yeah, but I don't have like that top tier distance to be able to look up and see a gap that I would normally see. So I'm just taking like pretty much the straight at it. What you see is what you get kind of line.
When you step up to these tee shots and you see these routes over the top, are there any players that come to mind specifically that you think are going to break some of these holes, or do you think they're going to kind of have to play the risk-reward game with those?
I think of Thomas Gilbert. I've played both my practice rounds with him when I've been there, and he's done some of those up over top fun lines that I think if he executes, he can get a big advantage on some of the holes and put himself in pretty easy birdie position.
And you think that can be done by quite a few players in at least the MPO division?
Yeah, I think so for sure. Like him, Anthony, and then I guess Simon if he wants it, and then like all like the you know what I'm saying, the top guys.
Yeah.
Whoever's in that category.
I walked down the fairway of hole 1 the other day, 644, kind of downhill. There's kind of a line in the middle, but a lot of players are going high. Are we going to see any eagles on that hole this weekend?
I think if we have a tailwind, I think we definitely will. It's a nice chance to open up at the beginning of the round and just rip one way down there. And even if you go out of bounds, you can pretty easily get up and down for par. But playing that one for the first time, I thought, yeah, this could be twoed.
You being the old man, 22-year-old yourself, do you think you have a shot at getting a 2 at this hole, or are you not even trying for it?
I'm not going to say I'm not trying for it. I'm definitely going down the middle and playing a straight shot, but the only 2 I'm getting is if I throw it in.
Okay.
I'm not getting close enough to putt it.
One last question for you. You have a new dog. You had Sonny. You have another dog now. Talk about owning 2 dogs and touring full-time on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. What is that like?
Oh, it's great. I mean, Sunny, our first dog, she's great. It's a funny story. We left from tour, and after she got to play with every dog out on tour that she was best friends with, and she just seemed to get a little sad. She just didn't have anyone to play with, so we thought she needed a friend to be there 100% of the time. So that was kind of the story behind that.
So Sonny's a golden retriever, and your other dog is, I believe, German Shepherd?
Yes. Yep, a long-coated German Shepherd. So he's going to have the long, luscious locks, kind of Chris Clemens-esque, James Conrad-esque.
Got to get the lint roller going in the RV.
Oh,
Kyle,
yeah.
thank you so much for your time. We'll see you this week. Good luck.
Thank you.
We'll be back in just a few.
All right, I'd like to welcome Anthony Barela to the Waco press conference. Anthony, you just arrived from Phoenix. You've done a lot of special things over the years at those courses at Vista, at Fountain Hills, but you did something really special this past weekend. You shot 17 down at Fountain. And unfortunately, you did that from the third card. So I believe there's no footage of that. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's just a video of me putting on 18. That's it.
The video on 18, okay. You missed hole 1. What happened on hole 1?
I actually almost aced it, and then I skipped into the water, and it was just a tap-in par. And then I somehow ran off 17 in a row.
Okay, walk us through a little bit of that 17 in a row. I mean, was it windy? Did it feel like cake? Like, were you ever, what were some of your bigger putts?
It wasn't super windy, but I don't know. I just didn't really have any expectations. I shot so poorly the first round, and I think it was the best putting performance I've ever had. I didn't miss a single putt inside of 65 feet. I ended up making like 2 60-footers in the last 5 holes, and then the last hole I had a 40-footer, and I just knew it was going in as soon as I stepped up to it.
Wow. So at what point in the round did you realize that you had a chance to repeat what Paul did so many years ago?
Yeah.
Was it the back 9 that you started to really realize? Do you realize you just got the last 8, the last 9?
Yeah, I told my caddy on hole 9, which is like the hardest hole on the course. So I was like, if I birdie this hole, I have to birdie the last 9. And I ended up throwing it to like 10 feet and just had a tap-in birdie and then ran off 9 in a row to finish.
What was the crowd reaction like? I mean, I know that green there on 18 at Fountain, it always gets a lot of spectators and everything. Was everyone there to cheer you on and see that last putt?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy because everyone started shying away from the lead card and coming to watch me, and then the lead card was actually on hole 16 as we were putting on 18, and like everyone knew what the scores were, and everyone knew I needed to make that, and then everyone went crazy. It was a pretty cool feeling.
That's awesome, man. Congrats on that round, and highest rated round of your career, is that correct? And one of the highest rated rounds of all time. I believe it's coming in at 6th. And what's it like, following the chess.com win? How do you get motivated to play again, or what did the golf feel like to you out there at the Memorial? Did it feel any different to play after a big win?
Honestly, no, not really at all. It made me more excited to go out there and play, but I struggled putting the last 2 rounds, didn't play great, but still got a podium finish, so I'm happy with it. But I'm still just excited as I was last week and the week before to play this tournament.
Hey, B. Jefferson here. Now that you've had some time away from the chess.com after your win, is there anything favorite moment that sticks out to you?
Favorite moment at chess.com? I don't know, probably just after the round calling like all my friends and my family. It was super special for me. It's just like a lot of emotions flowing, and it was just crazy to see like everyone so happy for me, and I was just super appreciative for that moment.
Now that you have that win under your belt, has your mindset changed at all going into Waco?
I don't really have any expectations at this tournament. I saw Statmando posted I'm looking for my first top 50 finish at Waco, so I don't have a great track record here. I have 0 expectations. I usually play this course horribly, but from people who've played the other course, I've been told that I'm going to play good there, but I haven't even seen it yet, so I'll go check that out right after this interview.
How's it going, Anthony? Brian Earhart here. I want to zoom into that 17 under again. At some point during that string of birdies, did you at all wake up and start to think too much about where you were? And if so, did you have to find yourself zooming back into the focus?
Yeah, it was just as soon as I would line up a shot, I would lock in. But right after that, I was like, holy crap, I've been chasing this course record literally my entire life. I caddied for Paul when he shot the 17 under in 2013. And ever since then, I was like, I want to shoot that course record so bad. And it was super nerve-wracking. I don't even know. I was just like locked in down the stretch and got it done.
You told me after your tournament that, if you don't feel those nerves, you don't love what you're doing.
Yeah.
Is that something that you've always believed, or is that something that you've kind of had to like grow into over time?
I definitely have had to grow into it. It's just my love for the game is always evolving and changing. And right now I feel like I'm at a peak where I just want to go wake up and play disc golf all day long.
When you were in college at ASU, was there ever a point when you were studying and going to school that you were thinking like, maybe I won't do the disc golf thing full time? Or have you always been dead set on this?
There were moments like that where I was just kind of iffy because like I hadn't been playing that great. But as soon as COVID hit, I got that spark again and just started grinding. And it's brought me where I am right now. So
awesome. Well, Anthony, thank you so much for your time. Any thoughts on where you are going to place this week? Does a win look like you feel like you can take it down this week?
We'll see. Now that the golf course is here, I definitely feel like I have a fighting chance, but I don't know. It just depends on how I play this course.
Thanks for the honesty, Anthony.
Yep.
Good luck.
Thank you.
We'll be right back in just a few.
All right, I'd like to welcome Eveliina Salonen to the Waco press conference. And Eveliina, were you able to find a matching chess set for your giant chessboard yet?
Not yet.
How'd you fit that thing on the plane?
I actually gave that to Phil and they have to ship it to my home, so I don't have room in my luggage.
They're giving it to the Pro Tour. The Pro Tour is going to ship it for you.
Yeah, I hope so.
Love that. Now, Eveliina, do you have any memories of your 2020 victory here at Waco? Do you remember that 2-round tournament when the world just kind of ended?
Yeah, a little bit. I remember that it was so weird that we had only 2 rounds, and I think I didn't think about disc golf that much anymore when we heard that we have to get out of this country as soon as possible. So
Yeah, I mean, things really were, you guys were put in such an interesting position having to get back home as quick as possible. That was a lot of time that went between your win at Waco and the win at chess.com. What's it been like since the win at the chess.com? I mean, have you been more motivated to get another win here at Waco?
Yeah, of course. Now I know that I can really win, so yeah.
Yeah, the confidence is back.
Maybe.
A little shaky.
I don't want to say it because if I fail now here, so
Yeah.
then it's embarrassing. So
Yeah, well,
maybe.
I feel that. Can you talk about what do you need to work on? I mean, we know that you have what it takes, and the world now is reminded that you have what it takes. What are you working on to put those worries aside and to build that confidence?
I think I just have to play tournaments and get like good tournaments.
Yeah.
And for me, it's just like my mental game and how to keep my thoughts positive. So that's all.
Cool. So jumping into the two courses here, what are your thoughts on the addition of the Lake Waco golf course this year?
At least it's a different course than this one, but I like it and I think it's good for me to have like long distance shots there.
Yeah. Do you feel like you have a preference over the two courses? Do you like the dichotomy of this one or the open holes over at the other one?
I like more this one because I'm used to playing wood, so and I feel I have always been throwing well here. So.
And so you mentioned that you feel like you have a slight advantage over there at Lake Waco because of your distance. Is that something that you carry with you? Like, do you feel like you're one of the longer throwers on the tour?
I'm not sure. I think I'm not the longest thrower, but it's like okay distance for me. So yeah, and I have always like I can throw, but it's always that can I putt? So yeah.
Hey, Eveliina, does the change now being with an Elite Plus event and adding an extra round and an extra tournament, does it change your approach at all to your Waco?
No, I just like more these 4 rounds tournaments, so it's cool.
And I know a lot of players have been saying 17 over at the Waco. Do you have a favorite hole over at the other course?
I don't know. I played only 2 rounds there, so I don't even remember those holes. Thank you.
How's it going, Eveliina?
Good.
How much practice have you put in outside of the courses this week? Do you do a lot of putting practice, field work, anything this week, or is it more just kind of learning the new courses?
Nothing. So I have only played practice rounds here.
So what else have you done this week since coming to Waco? Anything fun? Anything relaxing?
Nothing special. Just chilling.
What does chilling look like? What are you cooking food? Or are you hanging out? Or are you just sitting on your phone and
Sitting on my phone and watching some TikToks.
Perfect. Thank you for the honesty, Eveliina. We're talking about distance. We're talking about how far you actually think you can throw. Do you think it's more because you throw pretty stable plastic that you're not throwing super, super far compared to what someone else would be doing, or?
Might be because I like to throw like stable plastic, and I think it's much safer. So I don't know.
Do you feel like you do that across the board with like all the way down to mid-ranges putters? Does everything kind of feel like it's a pretty stable disc in your bag, or is there anything pretty understable you throw as well?
I think my distance drivers are pretty stable, but I also love my like flip-up discs. So yeah.
What are those flip-up discs? What molds are you throwing for hyzer flip and shaping the disc?
TL3s and Mako 3.
Awesome. Well, Eveliina, thank you so much. Good luck this week. We'll let you go chill some more.
Thank you so much.
We'll be back in just a few.
Oh my.
All right, we'd like to welcome Zachary Nash to the Waco press conference. And Zach, introduce yourself to the people at home. What do they need to know about Zach Nash?
Zach Nash, I grew up in Heiko, an hour from here, so I've been here plenty of times. I played tournament play here, played here last year, done beats here, comfortable with the course.
Yeah, what course did you really cut your teeth on in Texas before you started committing yourself to tournament disc golf?
Like home course style?
Sure, or where did you first catch that disc golf bug? Like, where did you realize that there was a competitive world in this sport?
Yeah, I was 12 years old. We were in Southeast Texas in the Beaumont area, and a local club member had approached us just one day at practice, just going out there with the family, and approached us about Texas Junior States and said that they were going to be able to fund us to go. And then I have two brothers that went with me. My older brother ended up winning his division, ended up winning my division in a playoff, and after that we knew we had to go back. So we went back the next year and ended up winning our divisions again. And after that, we had to move up, intermediate, advanced, eventually, and so on.
And now here you are trying to cut your teeth on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. And just how hard is the level of play here on the Disc Golf Pro Tour?
I think at first it's intimidating. So this is my second year on tour, so I was able to last year. First several events, I was definitely intimidated by the play because it's like you make a mistake and it feels like it's impossible to come back. And I think after you catch your rhythm and you catch your putt and you get comfortable with it, I think you can realize small mistakes you can recover from as long as you keep it minimal.
So last year, your best finishes were kind of in the mid 40s, catching last cash at Portland, cashing over at Ledgestone. Like, what do you think it is that's preventing you from finishing better at some of these events?
So last year, the money side was really stressing me out. And then finally, I caught my legs at Portland. I was able to go third card, the third round, and I fell off a little bit in the fourth, but I ended up cashing. I never missed a cut except for Vegas last year, which was a huge confidence booster coming into this year, just thinking about it. And then I kind of slowly started to pick it up. I was able to finish good at a couple Silver Series, and after that, it just felt I was calmer. Felt like I caught my pace, my practice, and it was finally starting to pay off.
And what does it mean to you to have a tour card, Zach? What was that process like to kind of chase down that tour card late in the year, and what does it mean for you to have it this year?
Oh my word, it was so stressful, especially the first couple events. I wasn't quite sure how it worked. I didn't know how to keep up with the points yet till later in the season, and I finally did. I was able to kind of take hold of it and come back a little bit, but when I was finally able to get the tour card and get on here, just a sigh of relief. And then it was just being able to get to every event and making sure the best way I could get into my practice routine to support that. We're out of a van right now, so it's the best places to stay at night without getting stressed out or being woken up overnight. And now that's what we're focusing on, that and playing every day.
So this is a personal question, but this is something that I get asked to ask you guys quite often is, how do you make it work? When someone looks at your PDGA page and they say, hey, you made $10,000 last year, like financially, how do you decide to keep going, and how do you get from event to event?
So financially speaking, in that aspect, I think it's crucial to have some sort of sponsorship outside of just performance. So I'm sponsored by Innova. They're able to give me some amount every month, and then on top of that, it's going to be disc sales and jersey sales and getting your social media up there, which I'm really working on right now to try and capitalize off that, and then just living off Taco Bell and cheap food. That's really all it is.
Thank you, Zach.
Hey, Zach, Brian Earhart here. So you're essentially saying you're out here for the love of the game. You're not here to get rich and famous. It'd be nice if you did, but you're here because disc golf's in your blood and you love it, essentially.
Yes, sir.
Well, let's talk about that last season. We didn't really get to talk to you too much last year because it was your first year on tour. You had a lot going on. Talk about that initial process of just downloading all the information from all these new courses and new places into your head.
That was one of the most stressful things. I felt like Sunday night after the tournament, I had to book it straight to the next one just to learn the course and feel like I was at such a big disadvantage having never played that it was just another level of anticipation and maybe fear a little bit. And I think that was a huge stressor as to how to figure out how to play coming in with everyone else already knowing the course.
So then fast forward to now, how excited are you to be at your second season, knowing the courses,
Yeah.
knowing what shots you should throw or maybe adjustments you need to make?
So excited. I feel like it's so much easier. I can leave a day later and show up. I'm more confident in my throw and my putt. And now I know the lines I want to take, and I can just go out there and do it and be comfortable with it.
I think something that players that kind of start out on the tour always talk about is managing expectations. You know, do I hold myself to a high standard or do I give myself no expectations? What have you learned about managing expectations over the past couple seasons?
Not to have them going into the first round. In practice, I try not to keep score. Like, I kind of know where I am anyway, but I know what holes to get and what holes to lay back on and what holes just not to make mistakes on. So my expectations are always, I want to cash, I want to be as high as possible, and don't miss circle one putts and keep it minimal.
Are you one of those players that grinds on the circle one putting, or what is your putting practice routine?
My putting practice routine is circle's edge. That's the best I've found. I've tried the 20-foot short ones to build confidence, but the best putting I've ever had is just from grinding it out from circle's edge and back.
Are those, hours-long sessions like an Owen Scoggins character, or what does that look like for you?
For me, it's whenever I have the energy to do it consciously and really focus.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I found myself when I'm not focusing after 200 putts, my arm gets a little bit tired, and then I just start shanking them, and that just hurts the confidence.
Thanks for that. Thanks for that clarity, by the way. You mentioned that your brother and you started playing disc golf around the same time. Is disc golf still a family affair? Is that still something that you and your brother and maybe other family members do?
Definitely. I have a twin brother as well, so he plays, and he's not going professional yet. My older brother, he still plays. He plays professional, and it's definitely still in the family.
Well, then, last question that I have for you. Let's dive into the courses here. You say you live an hour away or you grew up an hour away. Talk about this course, and it feels like you probably have more rounds here than a lot of other people that are out here.
This course is amazing. I love this course. It's not very long, so as far as distance-wise, it's not very challenging. Even the wooded holes, I think, are getting more and more broken, a little bit wider. So I think it's very fun. I think the great compliment would be Lake Waco this year. We actually just came from there, and I had a great time. I love that course. I think there's a few holes that will be challenging because they're a little raw, but I think for the most part it's aesthetic, and I'm really going to love it. It fits my game better than this course.
Well, then let's talk about Lake Waco. Obviously a brand new course. It's going to definitely still break in over time, but I walked the property and saw a ton of potential for even future adjustments to be made, and someone's got to run the first tournament there. So what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that course, if everything works out, it can stay on tour. I think it's going to be a beautiful course. I think it's going to work out really well. I think there are adjustments that can be made over time. It's the first year, just like any first tournament. But I think over time it's going to be one of the best.
So then I want to ask a similar question that I asked Kyle Klein. Obviously, Texas is known for having those shorter trees, not the big tall pines that you can't throw over. Mm-hmm. You can go over the top on a lot of these trees. Are you finding a lot of options to, quote-unquote, break the tee shot, or do you feel like you're kind of playing the hole as it's supposed to be played?
No, I feel like I'm going over the top on a lot of stuff. That's just kind of I can throw a little bit farther, I feel like. Mm-hmm. And so if I'm able to, I'd rather just do that than try and hit that gap, mm-hmm. especially if I don't have to. Maybe when it gets windy, I know that course is kind of designed for the gusts and the wind to pick up and to be challenging. Then I might go for the gaps, but as long as the wind's down and I'm throwing confident, I'm going to go over the top probably.
Well, Zach, thank you so much for digging into that. Good luck this week. We'll see you out there.
I appreciate it.
We'll be right back in just a few.
All right, I'd like to welcome Paige Pierce to the Waco press conference. Paige, we haven't had the chance to talk to you since you played chess.com. How did you feel about your performance? How did you feel about your body and the new approach with your game?
Mixed feelings. I think 10th place. I felt like I played better than 10th. I'm not like sad with 10th, but what I'm more upset with or disappointed, I guess, is how far away stroke wise that I was from first. I didn't expect myself to win or get top 3 even, but to be 18 strokes off, I think is what it was. That was like, okay, I got some work to do. But I think a lot of that work was in trusting the tee pads. Not that the tee pads were bad, it's just with my injury, I just feel like if there's even a thought to slip, I just overanalyze that. So especially the first part of the round, I was just not trusting my footwork, and it was causing me, once you get off the fairway at those courses, it's hard to save par. So I'm excited to give it another crack in these hopefully dry conditions this week and see how I can trust my feet this week.
Is there anything still physical holding you back, or is it just a mental test now returning to the game?
I think the physical parts are probably I'm not getting as far distance-wise, but I think that's not going to come into play until the later part of the season where we're playing more open and longer courses. We do have a golf course this weekend, but I think I can score well there. And then also just like certain scramble shots when I really have to lean out and put my weight on my left. That's a little bit painful. So I can bear the pain, but I don't want to get into a spot where I rush it because it's pain. It's not like excruciating, but I'm like, okay, I feel that. So just trying to find the balance of getting comfortable in the position, but not rushing the shot.
Yeah. And how about the management of the expectations from the public? Are you in your head at all about what people have to say about you returning and, Kristin winning all these tournaments? Are you battling any of that during the round, or are you just happy to be back at the game?
Like at chess.com?
At chess.com, practicing, just anytime you're thinking about disc golf, like are you getting pings of what people think of you? For an example, the way that people talk about Macbeth, like, oh, he's washed up.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't seen as much of that about you, but I have seen a little bit of that. Are you dealing with any of that, or are you able to kind of put that aside?
I think I was dealing with that more so last year. This year, it's, I have my own battles to face, physically and mentally, and I don't worry about that as much. So maybe that was a blessing, that the injury gave me, that I'm not carrying that big burden of what people think. Because I think that's something that it doesn't matter if you're a pro disc golfer or whatever your job is, like every single human feels that. It's like, what are other people thinking about me or saying? And so to try to let that go and just have fun and throw shots and like see my friends again that I didn't get to see all year last year, or all 7 months, and just play these courses that the Disc Golf Pro Tour is handpicked and all around the country that are beautiful courses. So just focusing on that kind of stuff. And yeah, I would be lying if I said it didn't pop into my mind from time to time, but I'm to a point now where I'm decently good at hushing that voice.
So you've played out here in Waco since you were young. I mean, you've probably played here for the last 15 years or something, and it's always been at this course, especially the A tier and up events, and for the last 8 years, the Elite Series that's been here. What do you think about the Pro Tour turning this into an Elite Plus and adding an entire new venue to the tournament?
Yeah, I remember playing the Texas 10 tournaments.
Yeah.
It's a good feeling being back here and seeing so many familiar faces and seeing how they're also involved in the disc golf community and the North Texas disc golf. And to be playing another course, I was surprised for sure because of the historical and nostalgic feelings that this course brings.
Yep.
And not just to me, to everyone. I know that people watching at home are want to see you finish on that 18 over there.
Yeah.
Having a new course, getting more people in. There's this tournament always sells out with spectators, so maybe that was part of their decision. Just trust their process. But I was disappointed that we don't finish here at least. Bringing in another course, no problem. But I would say that in the coming years we should finish here. Yeah,
I have to agree with that. I mean, 17 and 18 are two of the best finishing holes in the game. And jumping over to the Lake Waco track, like last week you kind of shared with us about your adjustment to your game, how you're kind of disking up a little bit and you're kind of changing your angles. How is that playing out there at the Lake Waco track? Are you putting a little bit more ante on stuff to kind of get that distance and kind of toning things down with the drivers?
A little bit here and there. I'm still throwing. There's a lot of shots that require like a power hyzer over there, like over trees or over ponds and stuff. And I am throwing a lot of those shots. And actually at chess.com, I surprised myself that I was getting more power than I thought I was getting on the off season. We call it tournament power. So yeah, I am throwing I'm throwing a lot of drivers over there. It's very long. So yeah, I'm throwing a lot of drivers over there and just trusting them.
Hey Paige, Jefferson here. You said your expectations going into chess.com you didn't expect to win. What are your expectations then going into Waco?
To cash. Last year I didn't cash, and that's just like, man, the beast got me. So that's the number one goal. And, last week I got 10th, and I feel better than I did last week or, last event. So hopefully, break into that top 10, 8th, 7th. If I win, that would be amazing. But, yeah, I think, I'm capable if I stay away from bogeys, which I think my biggest thing I need to do this week to do that is play golf and stop throwing the shot. That seems more fun. Golf's not fun, but if I want to get a better placement, I got to do it.
Well, let's talk about that, Paige. Brian Earhart here. It's funny, you have some people that get into disc golf from a golf background and score is kind of what they're after, but then it sounds like you're kind of a Frisbee head, and that's kind of what you're after. How much temptation do you have to fight to do exactly that and stay disciplined?
A lot. Endless, because I do it every round, and I am like, okay, I'm going to play golf this round, and I don't. It's like, yeah, but what if I could, that shot's like a 20% shotter right there, but it looks fun. I'm going to try it, and I look up to Simon a lot because he's one of those players that throws Simon lines, but yet 2 seasons ago, he won 5 Pro Tours. Mm-hmm. So it's like, hey, it can be done. So I don't know. I got to find that balance. But yeah, I'm going to at least limit myself. Like every second time I think about it, do the golf shot.
Is this the strategy we're taking into this week?
Yeah, maybe so. We'll see when the time comes.
All right. Well, Paige, thank you so much. Good luck this week. We'll see you out there.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back in just a few minutes.
All right, I'd like to welcome Richard Wysocki here to the Waco press conference. Ricky, we're seeing Richard pop up on the PDGA site, but is it Ricky or Richard? Like, when did it become Ricky?
Well, I think it's Richard on my birth certificate, but it's Ricky in real life. Yeah, I think ever since the U-Disc and the PDGA live scoring's changed, that's where we started seeing Richard. So I thought everyone on tour has been calling me Richard now. So they started the trend. But I still go by Ricky. So
what does your mother call you?
She calls me Ricky until I'm in trouble, then it's Richard.
Yeah.
And then Richard, get over here.
Do you ever call yourself Richard after a bogey? Like,
no, I don't. But I mean, hopefully I won't have to start doing that too much this season. That's the goal.
Well, Ricky, we saw you on the Disc Golf Guide channel over there as a spectator in Scottsdale. Talk about, your week off and taking the Memorial off.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it was a lot of fun. I got to host a lot of people. For me, traveling all throughout the country for my whole career, I feel like I'm in a spot where I can give back to the disc golf community. I can host people, and so Gannon, Alden, Gavin, Kale, Cupcake, and I'm sure I'm missing a couple other people. We had about 15 people I was hosting at the house. We had mattresses all over the place. I had a mattress in my closet Brad Hammock was sleeping on, so I just had, and people were sleeping on the couches, but I love it. I think that's kind of that's why we love disc golf, is it's so tight-knit. Everyone, helps each other out when there's a tournament in my part of town, and I help them out, and when it goes to their part of town, maybe they'll help me out. So it's just yeah, it's a full circle type of thing, and it was a fun. I got to watch the battle between Goss and Gannon and all the solid play out there, and yeah, it was just fun to take a break and get ready for this, and just watch it from the other side of the ropes.
Hey, Ricky, it wasn't just you were providing them a place to sleep too. Kale was sharing with me that you got someone to cook professionally for them. You were catering food.
Yeah, shout out to Donald. He's a up and coming chef. Not really up and coming. He's developed a big following in Phoenix, and he's a very good chef. He runs a restaurant, Valentine, in Phoenix. But I've been giving him lessons. So he traded disc golf lessons for him to come over and cook. We had prime rib, asparagus, and the citrus salad that he makes is like one of his specialty dishes. And so he came over and cooked all that in return for my lesson. So it's awesome to do what I do best and give disc golf knowledge, and he comes over and pays me back in food. So it's a great trade-off.
That's a great trade, and how cool for you to be giving back after so many years of people hosting you throughout the country. And Rick, I want to jump back to the chess.com tournament, and I want to ask you how much do you revisit a golf tournament after it's passed? We had to interview you after you took second to AB. You were really emotional, and it was almost difficult for you to talk about it. The following week, do you revisit the specific golf and what you may have done right, what you may have done wrong, and try and fix that? Or what is your process like before the next tournament?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely refer back to the tournament as far as just where my game was at. I think overall as a whole, I played really well. And I really gave myself, a chance to win. I was in it every round. I played great golf and was able to, like you said, capitalize in big moments, which is what I feel like I do best. Of course, there's always things you can improve, and most of the time, it's just decision making. I have the skill set, and for me, it's sometimes that can actually be a downfall because you get a little bit too aggressive when you should lay up, and so you just have, at my level, I just have to make sure to make the right decisions in the moment. And I think that I made one bad decision that caused me to have a double roll away, and that's kind of what took me out of the event is what it felt like. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, just one mental hiccup. That's really it. And I think that I feel like I'm one of the most mentally strong competitors out there, and I think that that's something that I'm definitely. Yeah, that comes with experience, and it's something that every day is different. All the conditions are different. The courses are different on tour every week. So there's just so many moving parts, and so the person that can somehow find consistency and find that good spot mentally to be in and week out is what it's going to be all about for to have a continuously great season, which is what I'm going for this year.
Cool. Thanks for sharing that, Ricky. And jumping over to this tournament, when you see that the Pro Tour has added a brand new venue Do you adjust your schedule at all? How much time do you feel you need to come and practice not just the Beast, but now the Lake Waco course?
Yeah, I think that the Beast here, it's pretty similar. It's almost the exact same course, maybe one different hole. And so it's, I just only needed to really play one, maybe 2 rounds out here. I think I've got 1 round at Lake Waco. That's kind of where all the changes are because it's a new course for most of the tour players. And so, yeah, I played a round out there and threw a lot of shots. I think that's something that I do, and I think a lot of players do it. But throwing a lot of shots, just getting a feel for each hole, getting a feel for how the discs are flying in each wind direction. And so out there at Lake Waco, I think it's going to be a big separator. I think a lot of people are very familiar with this course. And I think that, course knowledge is going to be very important. And the practice rounds is where you refer back to, muscle memory, how far shots are, what your, landing zones are, how you want to approach, as far as being aggressive on certain holes. And so I think that's going to be the toughest part out there is just not seeing it, year after year like we see this course. And I think that's a little bit of a tricky variable, but I think it's fun. I think it's something that it's cool to have a new course like that.
Hey, Ricky, Jefferson. Wondering what your thoughts are on having an Elite Plus event so early on in the season.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting. I think that, just Florida being, 2 weeks ago and already jumping into this tournament, it's, I'm pumped for it. I think it gets, players have to, last week we kind of had an off week. We had some smaller events going on. So some players got some rest and, with the way the tour is, it seems like there's a lot of injuries going on and a lot of stuff like that, even this early. So people have to pace themselves, and I'm sure people are going to be, limiting some practice rounds, maybe not playing as much as they normally would, especially with it being a 4-day event. I think that's something that's important too. You want to make sure your body's fresh. I'm going to be doing an ice bath, go do a little gym session and an ice bath, do some stretching and stuff going into the final first day tomorrow. So, it's definitely interesting. It's great for the spectators. It's going to be some high-level disc golf, and I'm excited to attack the first Elite Plus.
Thank you.
How's it going, Rick?
Hi.
A couple questions for you. Number one, I want to go back to one specific moment at chess.com. You hit that putt in Anthony Barela's face on 17. You jumped up, you turned around, you screamed in his face. It almost looked like you couldn't control yourself. You've been playing for so long. You've been competing for so long. What about that moment invoked such an emotion from you?
Well, I think that for me, like you said, I've been competing for a good amount of time, and I feel like I've played through a lot of tournaments, and I can kind of feel the ebbs and flows of when you need to take charge to win an event. And I think that I knew that was a big moment. That was the kind of last. I knew I had to make that putt, and I put a lot of pressure on AB, and I wasn't necessarily yelling and screaming at him. I was just kind of turning to the crowd and kind of all my excitement and stuff kind of just released. And so that's kind of what that moment was. But I think that's something I do really well is I can feel the ebbs and flows of an event, and I know when I have to make a shot. And I think that that's something that, as a true competitor, you have to be able to do that, and you have to be able to make that shot if you want to have a chance to win.
What would you rather do? What would make you feel more excited? Coming down the stretch and parking the hardest hole in the course in someone's face like that, or hitting a big circle 2-putt like that in someone's face?
I don't know. It's a tough thing. I think parking a hole that's a really cool feeling as well. I think it's something to where once you park the hole's over. Versus like when you throw a mediocre drive and you have a longer putt, you still have to make that putt. Even if you're a good putter, there's still a lot of nerves, a lot of pressure, and so I would say the drive. I think it takes a lot of the pressure and nerves off, and that's, as a player, the fans love that because they can feel the pressure and the nerves of the player, but as a player, you don't want that. You want to have a smooth sailing victory, and so that's the difference. So if you're a spectator, you have one thing you want, and if you're a player, you have another thing that you want.
Well, one last question, Ricky. First off, we just saw LeBron James score 40,000 points in his career at age 39 last week. How do performances from athletes like LeBron James or Tom Brady, I know you said you were a big fan of as well, athletes that play at a high level into their 40s, does that inspire you at all as an athlete yourself?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's very respectable that they haven't lost their passion. They have fought through injuries. I'm not going to say that they haven't been injured. I'm sure they fought through injuries. As an athlete, the injuries are going to happen. It's just inevitable. You're pushing your body to the highest level that nobody, that a lot of people can't do. So you're constantly fighting through injuries. So there's just so much stuff that that they probably go through that the general fans don't see. And so that's the kind of stuff that I respect and I look up to. And just the fact that he's taken care of his body long enough to where he can dominate a sport as long as he has, and he's still top 5, top 10 most dominant players in the NBA right now. And it's just very impressive. Tom Brady was the same way. And so for someone like them that has all the experience and all the skill, the third part of that equation is their body. Can it hold up? And so for the fact that they have found ways to make sure that they're able to compete and able to do what they do best, and that's very respectable, and I'm hoping I can follow in their footsteps.
Are we going to see another decade of Ricky Wysocki dominance?
I think so. If I'm on the Tom Brady, LeBron James diet and workout plan, that's the goal.
Well, Ricky, good luck this week. Thanks so much.
Thank you, guys.
We'll be right back in just a few.
All right, we'd like to welcome Chantel Budinsky to the Waco press conference. Chantel, you've sprinkled in a little bit of touring over the last couple years, but it looks like this year you are making the big leap. What was that decision process like?
Well, the first year that we were on kind of tour, I played a couple events, didn't do so well, but last year was much better, so the consistency is coming. And I just feel like I've kind of proven myself. So Prodigy was there and they're like, you want to do this? I'm like, yep. So here I am.
All right. So you've got a little bit of support. Who are you traveling with? What's the method of traveling this year?
So I am traveling with my fiance, Chris, and we just travel in our car going to hotels and Airbnbs.
Chantel, can you talk about the balance of not only just playing, but of managing your social media and putting out YouTube videos on a regular basis?
It's a lot of work. People might not know how much work it is, but it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. We have to plan where we're going. And in Canada, we don't have like any courses around us, so we always have to plan when we're going. In Canada, it's usually a far drive. In the States, luckily, we're right across from Michigan, so we're just there almost every weekend trying to film something, and then when we're here, we have to try to find more of a balance with practicing over filming. So that's something that we're still trying to figure out, but I think we're doing a pretty good job.
Now, jumping into your game, you said that you proved yourself a little bit last year. I, of course, think of the dominant win up in Rochester. Was it just that win that kind of gave you the confidence you needed, or can you talk about how you developed the confidence to send it this year on tour?
I think that definitely helped. Over time, my bad rounds haven't been as bad as they are, so my rating for the whole tournament isn't as bad. And then also, I've noticed that my putting, usually I'm at like the top part, so it's really just keeping my drives in the fairway and getting over those nerves and the self-doubt. So I think once I conquer that, I should be doing very well.
Cool. Yeah, you've been known as a good putter. What aspect of your game did you work on the most this off season? You know, when you got that tour pass.
I actually didn't have too much time this off season to practice, but I started more this month, and mostly it was putting inside. But we've been really working hard this month, and I'm trying to keep the consistency, not trying to worry about any form work right now since I didn't have much time, but definitely always putting inside.
Thank you. How's it going, Chantel?
Good.
A couple questions for you. You mentioned that there are not a lot of courses around you in Canada. You're a professional disc golfer. What does that look like? What is that about?
We found our course. It was like 20 minutes away, and we're just there every single day. It's like a little park-style course. There's hardly any holes over 300 feet. So a lot of field work, definitely, but we're just traveling all over trying to find lots of courses to practice at.
Is that because you moved to an area where there's not a lot of disc golf courses, or where did you first learn to play the game?
I live in Windsor, Ontario, which there's one course, and then there's like a little pitch and putt course. But yeah, we've lived in the same spot our whole lives, and we just found that one course, so that's where we've been.
Enough to spark the passion.
Yes.
What course is it, if I ask?
It's called Lakewood.
And so you said the holes are very short, under 300 feet. When you were coming up as a player, where did you learn to throw the driver? Was it just the field? Was it just going out there?
Yeah, it was just the field, and we were a little bit before COVID. So right when we started to go do tournaments, that's when everything shut down. So then we were just stuck in the field the whole time. That's when I started developing a little bit more distance.
Well, then let's zoom into this tournament. We got two courses here. We got Lake Waco. We got the Beast, obviously. Talk about your feelings about both courses and how your game kind of suits them.
I definitely like the Beast better. It's more of my style. Lake Waco that's a big course. I don't know how many holes I'm going to be able to reach for birdie. I sunk a lot of circle 2 putts the other day, so hopefully I can do that again, but I think the Beast definitely wins.
Then let's talk about your play style out here. Are you saying you enjoy wooded golf? Do you like throwing the flip-up shots? Like, what does your game look like out here?
Yep, I'm mostly a hyzer flip player. I love flippy discs. I love scrambling. That's like my favorite part of the game. So definitely wooded golf is where I want to be.
Well, you took down a victory last year. It was a wonderful victory. You shot phenomenal golf. What do you feel like you learned and took from that win going into this season?
How to manage the cameras in your face. That was surprising to me. They're so close, and you're trying to focus on disc golf, but you're also like, don't make any stupid faces.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's definitely something that hopefully I can bring here.
Kind of detached from the cameras a bit.
Yes.
Kind of hard when you're a YouTuber. Is that right?
It's funny because I was never a camera person. I hate it. I still have trouble when we're like doing the intros and stuff. I have to ask Chris, what am I saying again? But I'm getting better at it.
You're preaching to the choir right now, Chantel. I completely understand. One last question. Going into the season, you're going big time. Any goals that you set for yourself, small, big? Are you a goal setter type of person?
Not a crazy goal setter, but last year I didn't go down in my rating. So that's something that I would really like to do this year, just consistently go up.
Nice, simple goal.
Yes.
Well, good luck this week. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
We'll be right back in just a few.
All right, we'd like to welcome now the tournament director of the Waco Annual Charity Open. Ryan, can you believe that this is the 8th Disc Golf Pro Tour event here in Waco?
It is almost unbelievable. It's time has flown by, but we've had a great time over the years, and we're excited to be back for 2024.
Ryan, what's the process like to turn an Elite Series event into an Elite Plus and to add an entire new course? What was the thought process like from your perspective?
Well, there's a few layers to this onion, but everybody loves the Beast, and I think it's the most requested aspect of the tournament by the pros and the AMs. The AMs always want to play the Beast, and we also kind of recognize that it is a well-liked technical course, but it is on the shorter side, and there have been some rumors here and there that it could be outgrown in the future, and so we just want to kind of future-proof that. We want to always include the Beast, and we love the Beast, and I think it's always going to be, at least if we can have our way, it will always be an integral part of the event here. But we want to complement that and have something also that can kind of carry the Beast into the future with it. So that's part of it. We wanted to add the other course. We wanted to go to the 4-day so that it makes sense to have 2 courses with the cut. And our party has kind of a reputation with it as well, and so I think that also lends itself to the Elite Plus status, where we have a little more entertainment, I think, than some of the other events, and we have a huge fly mart. I mean, I think there are 30 vendors beyond all the Pro Tour players that are going to be there. So, all those things kind of meld together into an upgrade.
All right. Well, congratulations on that upgrade, Ryan.
Thanks.
Well deserved, I think. And I want to ask about the course design over at Lake Waco. Who is given the reins to design that course? Is that you or someone within the club that does it, or do you guys outsource that design?
So it's mostly Joey and I. Joey Harrell, I don't know if you guys interviewed him today, but he's been the assistant tournament director here for the entire time that we've been on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. He's also the designer of the Beast. And so he and I went out to the lake with the goal in mind of, like I said, complementing the Beast, having something a little longer, something to showcase the bigger throwers a little more, and something a little bit more future-proof as well. I know that, a lot of people know a lot of the big names as far as far throwers, but I see kids all the time that people don't even know about that are throwing just as far as those guys with elite 1% distance that people don't even know exist yet. And I've seen those guys out at our course, and it blows my mind every time I see that. The thing that impresses me the most now about that, I think, is seeing the kids throw so far, but it just looks like there's no effort at all. I mean, they don't grunt, they're not making faces, they don't even look like they're turning their body that fast. It just comes out like a rocket. And we enjoy seeing that, and we're looking forward to seeing that this weekend.
All right, Ryan. And so there's been quite a bit of talk about the tee-pad situation over at the Lake Waco course, and we also got word from Phil about how your hands are kind of tied because you're trying to build the relationship with the golf course. Can you expand on the tee-pad situation over
Sure.
there and kind of unpack a little bit the depth of the complications that have arose over at the Lake Waco course?
Sure, yeah. So we did include the Lake Waco course in our event last year. We had the amateurs and the age-protected division play it. And the goal was for that relationship to build from that point and then build into something where we invite the Pro Tour and have a full year to look at the lake, to design the lake, to work on the lake. There's areas in that course that are beautiful and very well maintained, and then there are areas on that course that are that just haven't seen any love in, years and years, 20 plus years. And they've seen floods, and they've seen different ownership and all that over the years, and I think that's what has contributed to those areas. And the ownership of that course changed, or there's been just ownership situations, I'll say, over the last year that came up right after the event, which made it impossible for us to get that full year to build that relationship, to maintain the course, to clean some of the parts of the course up, to do, part of the design incorporates being able to clean up the areas that we need to clean up to make the design what we want. So I think, there's a new owner now, and we're super excited about that. He is all in on disc golf. He's all in on having the disc golfers at his property. He's all in on having media at his property and people seeing what it can be. So we're really excited about next year. Really, this, like you mentioned, is a stepping stone to what can happen next year. Part of that is, I guess I should get back to the tee pads, but the tee pads work into there because it is a temporary course. And it's on a ball golf course, so we don't have the ability to just to dig into any areas that we want to, or to just manipulate the land however we see fit. I think that's something that we probably will have the ability to do in the future, based on how this event goes. I think they're already happy with what they've seen so far, and they're for sure going to be happy when they see what the big show is. I mean, we can tell those guys till we're blue in the face what's coming, but until they really see it, that's the moment that I think it'll hit them, and you'll see it on their face. Like, okay, this is a real professional sport. This is a real professional organization, and these are real professional players. And I think going forward again to next year, all those kinds of conversations about manipulating the land, cutting trees, putting trees in, whatever the case is, are going to go a lot smoother, easier, faster, and we'll have a lot more control over things like that. Being able to smooth out a level piece of land for tee pads. Right now, the tee pads are, if you're hearing about the situation but you haven't seen it yet, we actually built decks basically for every single tee pad, and they are planted in the ground, and they're all level. So the way to do that is, we built them up on stilts, just like a deck would be, and so that the tee pad is level, but it's not necessarily level on both ends. So if the ground around it isn't level, the stilts are higher on one end than the other, and so you don't always get like a full run up if you're one of the players that doesn't just run up on the tee pad, which I fully recognize that there are several out there. So I think in the future that probably won't be an issue. Just based on how this year goes.
Well, Ryan, thanks so much for expanding on that for us. It makes a little bit of sense that your hands are tied to kind of further that relationship over there. My next question is, how do you make the decision to, finish over at the Lake Waco course versus finishing over here at the iconic 17 and 18? It must have been a tough call. What are kind of the logistics behind a decision like that?
Well, the decision was based mostly on the fact that that's a new course, and we wanted to showcase that course to not only the players and the fans, but also the owners. And then, as far as spectators go, live on-site spectators, we've actually had to cap the number of spectators that we've had here at the Beast for several years because just the way the property lines out, we're kind of at capacity. So another thing that we wanted to do is just to see what's possible if we have no cap. I think it's going to be one of those deals where this year we just see how it works out, and if the Beast final holes are absolutely for sure more exciting than the Lake, that's an easy choice to make, and we can change that in years to come for sure. I recognize that 16, 17, 18 are iconic holes for finishes, and they've done their job well in the past. So,
and with that, we'll be right back with our final interview.
Thanks.
All right, we'd like to welcome Kristin Tattar to the Waco press conference. Kristin, you're back stateside. How does it feel?
It feels amazing. I mean, I've missed playing in nice weather. I've missed touring, competing. So it's a lot of fun to be back and actually playing disc golf here. So I'm just enjoying it.
So you couldn't bring the Porsche with you?
No.
It's staying in Estonia. Are you going to miss it?
Yes, I am missing it. But I'm fine. I'm fine. No, it is a great deal. It's pushing boundaries. I feel like in disc golf we are in a sort of like a bubble, and I think one of my goals would be to go a little bit further outside the bubble and bring in new deals and sort of expand in that section.
Yeah, so you are carrying a torch for disc golf in that light, and I want to ask, like, what is that process like to approach a company like Porsche? Are you famous enough in Estonia that you're being approached, or do you have someone that's going out there and approaching those companies for you?
So I don't know how famous I am, so you'd have to ask the people in Estonia. But I do have a manager now who I'm working with since November, and he's been working on those deals and bringing in new sponsorships. So, yeah.
Did you feel like you had a busy off season? From the outside looking in, it felt like, you know, we were seeing you on magazine covers, we were seeing you make these deals. Does it feel busy to kind of carry that torch over there in the off season?
It did, and I was actually ill quite many times, and I was thinking maybe it was because I was so overwhelmed. I don't know the truth, but I mean, I was very busy, and if I wasn't busy, then I was sick at home. So it was kind of a funny off season, and it was tough to balance everything. And I think for the first time, I was actually sort of relieved to come to the tour and just play disc golf and do what I know best.
So what's the decision process like to skip out on the chess.com tournament and spend a couple more weeks in Estonia?
So we actually have such a long season, in my opinion, and for me it's tougher because I travel from Europe, and I do have a daughter, so I have some other responsibilities than just being a touring player, and I have to take everything into consideration, and adding 3 more weeks to the tour, I just didn't think it was worth it, to be honest. And it's my daughter's birthday today, actually.
All right.
So it was a very nice way to actually celebrate last weekend before we came here. Just taking into consideration every aspect of my life, and it's not only being a professional athlete.
So you won nearly every tournament that was out there last year. Going into an off season after such a successful outing, were you targeting anything with your game? We've asked you this question in the past, and your answer has been, you know, the mental side of the game. Is there anything about the physical aspect of your game that you tried to work on this off season?
Not really. Nothing from the game side of things. I think, like I said before, I was sort of like zooming out and seeing the bigger picture and what I could possibly do with my career, and that was like hiring a manager and bringing in new sponsorships, and that was kind of the focus in that off season. But I continued to do the work which I have always been doing, and hopefully it carries me through the season.
Hi, Kristin.
Hey.
A few questions for you. You mentioned, busy off season for a lot of other reasons than just getting out on the course. How was the winter in Estonia weather-wise, and did you get to go outside very much to play?
We had quite a nice winter. We had lots of snow, and it was pretty cold at times. But I was mostly practicing indoors. I was skiing a little bit, but mostly indoors, trying to hide from the cold.
How much skiing were you doing? Was it cross-country skiing that you were doing, or?
Yes, I did some cross-country skiing. When the weather is beautiful, I think it's the most enjoyable thing to do. during the winter time. It's sort of like a meditation for me, so I truly enjoy it. Yeah.
I think you posted something this off-season about potentially some friends of yours that still compete at a very high level in cross-country skiing. Is that true?
It was about Estonian biathlon girls.
That's what it was.
And they got a 4th place in a relay in World Championships, and it's the highest place Estonia has ever gotten, and I'm very happy for them.
Zooming into what we're doing, in disc golf, I know you've been all over the place in Estonia. You were going to like presidential galas and stuff like that, and obviously individually it's probably something you're very proud of to get to that place. But are you proud that disc golf is being seen in such a positive light in Estonia as well?
Oh, of course. I feel like it has been a battle in the past to sort of prove that disc golf is a sport. It's something that I've always thought that is a sport, but there's people who don't think that way. So I guess I've been trying to be the role model and not really like push this idea to other people, but sort of with my behavior and everything that I'm doing to show them that it's actually a professional sport and it should be taken seriously. And I think I have taken steps in the right direction.
I agree with you. I think you've done a great job. And we go into a fresh season. Like Nate said, you did great last year. You had a phenomenal year. You won the Grand Slam. It was wonderful. Talk about managing expectations. Have you gotten really good at kind of setting them in an appropriate space for yourself, or how does that look coming into this year?
You know what I've realized is that it's best to have no expectations in a good way. I mean, you can still have high standards, but go on the course without any expectations. Just accept what comes to you and give your 100%, and this is all you can do. The rest is out of your hands, and this is like something that I live by and try to do. Sometimes it's a little bit harder, sometimes not so hard, but yeah, I try to not have expectations, to be honest.
Well, then going along with that, last question I have for you. Setting goals for yourself, small, big. Some people like to set them, some people like to write them down, some people like to not have any. What kind of person are you with goals?
I used to be a huge goal person, setting goals and achieving them, and it's a good method to achieve what you really want and go after your dreams. But again, I feel like I have reached to a point in my life where I understand that there is only a present moment, and it's not worth like putting too many goals and pressure on yourself. It's about just enjoying life and accepting what is given to you, and also I know that whatever is meant to happen with me will happen, and what I want wants me even more, so I just have to be open to receive it. So that's something that I live by.
Beautiful words, Kristin. Thank you so much. Enjoy yourself this week and good luck out there.
Thank you.
And with that, we're going to wrap things up here. Round number 1 starts tomorrow.